Hello everyone, my name is Pukar Dhital. I'm an English instructor for Grade 7 and today we're going to begin a chapter, Travel Excitement. Let's begin the class.
Now, as a starter, have a look at this picture carefully. Just observe this picture carefully. Now, make a list of interesting places that you have visited. Have you visited any places so far? If so, take a time to list down those places. Which one did you enjoy the most and why? So out of those many places which you had visited, which one did you enjoy the most? And what was the reason you enjoyed it? Share it with the class. So it's more like an activity. Take a time, list down the places which you have visited, pick one which you enjoyed the most and share it to the class why you enjoyed it. What were the reasons you enjoyed that visit? So that's more like your group activity which you can do it in the class. Now let's continue to the next page. Now these are the vocabulary words, alright, and its meanings here. So these are the words which are all used in the passage which we are about to begin. Okay, so and just don't depend on these vocabulary words given in the book. Make sure that you are making best use of your dictionary. Alright. So in the meantime, let's look at these words and what do they mean. Let's learn these words. Learn the meanings of these words that appear in the passage below. The passage which we are yet to read. Fellow traveler, someone who travels with you. Frozen, its meaning, not able to move. Longingly, with a strong desire. Pleading, asking for something emotionally. Plod, walk slowly with heavy steps. Relief, to be free from worry and pain. Slope, a place of which one side is higher than the other. Twilight, time of the day after sunset. Agony, great pain. Hamlet, a small village. Hurdle, a difficulty that one needs to overcome. Innkeeper, a person who runs an inn. Negotiate, to reach an agreement through talks. Pretend, to act in a way which gives a false impression. Settle, agree something. Sprawling, spreading over a large area. So now that we have learned these many words, it is very wise to note these words down in the copy and make a sentence out of these words. So what you can do to add to your knowledge is do two more things. So as you get the word, so to build a vocabulary, this will be very handy. So I will teach you one method which you might find, and in fact which you will find very handy. So whenever you come across such words, you can just write, let's say for example, let's work on the word twilight, right? So first we write twilight, word twilight. Now its meaning, for the meaning, right now it's given in the book, but do consult dictionary because I'm sure there are many more words which you don't know. And if you have such words, refer to the dictionary. It's very important to have dictionary if you want to improve English. Okay, so let's write down the meaning down. Time of the day after sunset. Time of the day after sunset. Now let's do one more thing. Now we'll write down sentence from the book. Just like the title suggests, where do you find this word twilight being used in the book itself? Right? So as you go through the passage, you'll figure it out that it is right there in the passage and it is used in this particular manner. Meaning you copy the very sentence down where it's used. And in the passage, it's written, see sentence from the book, it was already twilight by the time I reached there. See, this is something you copy as it is from the book where this particular word is used. Now, as we move further, let's work on, much important, now you make sentence of your own. Sentence of my own. Meaning, now you know the word, now you also know the meaning, now you also know how this word is used in the book, in the passage. Now you make sentence of your own. Alright, that is sentence of my own. So how do you think you can make this? Any beautiful sentence that you can make of twilight? So let's make a sentence of twilight. Lions were very active in the twilight. So see, this technique you can use to improve your vocabulary words. Don't forget this particular format, alright? Start from word, you write the word whose meaning you want to find. And then you look at the dictionary and find its meaning. And then you see how this very word is used in the book and write sentence from the book. And finally, at last, you write sentence of your own. That is sentence of my own. How you plan to use twilight in your own sentence. So this will be very handy to you to learn vocabulary words. So now that we know what is travel journal, and now that we also know how to look for words in the dictionary, or how to learn new vocabulary word, a technique to learn new vocabulary words, let's continue further in this particular chapter. So in the chapter Travel Excitement, we have a passage here, alright? And the title for the passage is Going Home. So let's begin the reading now. It is also one of the travel journal. So let's also practice reading now. Let's read the passage Going Home. So shall we read the passage? Let's begin it. Now, before we begin, let us consider few questions on our mind. Look at these two questions, especially. Where is the author from? How long does it take to fly from Kathmandu to Tumling Tar? Now, bearing these questions in mind, right? And of course, I did tell you what you should be focused on when you read a passage. Let's take care of the pauses. Let's take care of our pitch, the articulation, and the pace, of course, right? And let's try to figure out what this passage is all about, what this travel journal is all about. Here, the writer has shared one of his experiences, right, when he went back to his village in Khandbari. So let's begin. Going home. I am from Sankhua Sabha. I was studying in Kathmandu, and in every Dasai, I used to go home. It was a time I waited longingly for every year. That was when I would meet my family. It is a 45 minutes flight from Kathmandu to Tumling Tar. Then I had to walk for about 3 hours to reach my home in Khandbari. When I was studying in class 7, I could not get the plane tickets. I had to go by bus. It used to be a 2-day walk to Khandbari from Hile in Dhankuta. I had never walked that way before and was afraid that I would not reach home. First, we went to Dharan from Kathmandu. Then we took another bus to Hile. I had some friends with me until I got to Hile. But from there I was alone. The first hurdle was finding the right path to take. I had a cup of tea and some biscuits in a local shop. While having tea and biscuits, I talked to the shopkeeper. So far, let's keep a few things in mind. Alright, so far we've come to understand that the writer is from Sankhua Sabha. Alright, and he was talking about his experience when he was studying in Kathmandu. Alright, and how he longed, how he wished to go home everywhere in Dasa vacation. And that was, the reason was to meet his family. See? And if the author is to take a flight from Kathmandu to Tumling Tar, it's just 45 minutes flight. Alright? And then he had to walk for about 3 hours to reach him home, which is in Khandbari. So he talks also about his experience when he was in grade 7, how those days he could not get the plane tickets. And it was a long walk, a 2-day walk to Khandbari, and not from Kathmandu, but from Hile in Dhankuta. And from here, see, the journey starts. First he goes to Dharan from Kathmandu, then he takes another bus to Hile, and he says he had some friends until he reached Hile, and from there he had to travel on his own. He was traveling alone. And of course, when you travel alone, the first hurdle, the obstacle, alright, is that you might struggle to find the correct path. And he talks about one of his experience when he was having a cup of tea and biscuits in the local shop. This is it in the first part of the passage. Let's continue. Do you know how long it takes to reach Khandbari from here? I asked. Yes, she replied. You are coming home for Dasai. It takes about 2 days. She replied. 2 days, right? I suppose I stayed for the night at Legua tonight. I asked her, trying to sound knowledgeable. That's right. Then tomorrow evening you'll reach home, she replied. By the way, I'm not familiar with Hile. This is the first time I have come here. Which path should I take from here? I asked. There's no use pretending to know about the place and go in the wrong direction. Just go about 100 meters ahead, you'll see a clothes shop on your left. Next to it is a tea shop. Between these shops is a narrow path leading down towards your left. Take that path and go straight on. You'll not get lost, I can assure you. She gave a long, clear explanation. I thanked her and started on my way. It was downhill for as long as I could see. After 1 hour, I reached Pakribas. I again had to ask for the way. Then for the next 4 to 5 hours, I had to walk down till I reached Mangmaya. That climb down took me near the Arun River. When I reached the bridge to Mangmaya River, my legs were shaking like a leaf. But the good news was that from here the road was straight. I would have to remain on the right side of Arun River till I reached Tumling Tar. I reached Legua after another hour of walking. It was already twilight by the time I reached there. The hamlet of Legua used to be a collection of few dimly lit houses. They offered basic lodging and fooding. Nowadays it has become a sprawling bazaar. Could I get a place to sleep here tonight? I asked. Of course, but you'll also have to eat dinner here, the innkeeper replied. Now it seems to me we missed a paragraph here, which I've written here again. Alright, so let's follow here, because we happen to have missed this particular paragraph. So let me start again from of course. Of course, but you'll also have to eat dinner here, The innkeeper replied. That is a clever business, I thought, but agreed to his terms. We negotiated the price and I settled in for the night. Next morning, I experienced the agony of walking long distance. It seemed that both my legs were frozen stiff and they refused to move. It was painful even to take a few steps. One of the fellow travelers saw my difficulty and said to me, Don't worry, after some time you'll feel okay. Really? I hope so. Otherwise, I'll never reach home. There was both pleading and relief in my voice. It turned out to be true. After some time, I did not feel any pain. Nonetheless, the journey was a difficult one. All day long, I walked in the hot Arun River valley. I plodded on, one step after the other. Finally, I saw the hill of Khandbari and the slope that I had to climb. There were only two things that kept me going on. One was the fact that I would be meeting my family. The other was that I would be celebrating Dasai and Tihar soon. So that's the passage going home, which you have just read. You can again read and again try to read aloud so as to improve your reading. Read aloud. You can copy the way I have read. Read aloud in the classroom. Take a time and read aloud. The more you read, the more you'll get perfection in reading. So it is very important that you read aloud. I hope you have just read it in the class, and make sure when you read, your friends listen to your reading. And let your teacher provide some feedback on your reading and take those feedback very positive. Now we have exercises that follow. Let's talk about these exercises. The writer left Kathmandu for Khandbari in Sankhwasabha. On the way, he passed through these places. Put the places below in order from 1 to 8, with 1 being the place where he reached first. So you just have to name these places as per its order. Like for instance, he visited Dharan first. That's why here is 1 next to the Dharan. Can you notice this one? This is marked as 1 because Dharan was the first place from where he started his journey home. So what do you think is the next place he came across as he traveled? Figure that out. Is it Arun River, Hile, Khandbari, Legua, Mangmaya River, Pakribas, or Tumlingtar? So from Dharan, he goes to Hile. Just mark that number 2. So to get the perfect order, read the passage again. You will have to read the passage, and as you read the passage, these places just come there in perfect order. So after Hile, he goes to Pakribas. So that's number 3. And then comes Mangmaya River. Number 4. So this way, you just put the number here, put them in order, and which follows all the way to number 8. And remember, you'll get the answer all in the passage. So for that, you might have to read passages again and again. Even if you have to read it 2 times, 3 times, take it easy. You should continue reading until you get your answer all correct. Shall we move further? And I'm sure you'll do this in a jiffy. Mark T for true and F for false statements. Here are the statements given based on the passage going home. So if it's true, just write T, and if it's false, just write F. Now, number 8. We can fly from Kathmandu to Tumlingtar in less than an hour. Is that true? Yes, in fact, 45 minutes to be precise. So you can just write 2, true, or just write T. We can walk to Khandbari from Hile in Dhankuta in 2 days. Is it true? Yes, it's true. Again, if you're confused, you will have to turn back, read the passage again, and then write true or false. Let's think of one more example. The writer stayed at Legua for the night. So did he stay over in Legua? Yes. Again, it's true. Again, read the passage. You can answer these 3 statements that follow. Read the passage again and again if you're confused. And I'm sure you can do it easily. Let's go further. Okay, answer these questions. Why did the writer long for Dasai holidays? Long means to have this deep craving. Remember how you're supposed to look for words in dictionary? If you're confused with the words, use a dictionary right away. And by the way, when you read the passage, remember the technique which I had taught? You can use that technique to improve your vocabulary words. Alright? So if you want to revision, it's word, meaning, sentence from the book, and sentence of my own. It will really help you improve your English. So again, read the passage. Why now every time when you answer a question, bear in mind the tense here. It's in simple past. Why did the writer long for Dasai holidays? Alright? So how do you think you're going to write down the answer? Now, first read the question, and then to answer it, look at the passage again. Read the passage again. So remember, usually or most of the times, the answer begins right from the question. So the technique is, how are you going to begin your answer? See, the first part is, why did the writer long for Dasai holidays? The writer, you begin right from here. The writer. See, it's indeed, that is simple past. So make sure that change this verb to simple past as well. So why is it that we have an ed here? Because we're taking it, we change the form of the verb to simple past because of this application did, right? Because of this simple past did. The writer longed for Dasai holidays. The writer longed for Dasai holidays because if you read the first paragraph, because that was when, if you read the first paragraph, the sentence is, that was when I would meet my family. So that I is the author, is the writer, right, who shared this travel journal. So that the writer longed, be very careful with the tense used here, did, it's past tense, simple past. So you are taking this to simple past. The writer longed for Dasai holidays because that was when he would meet his family. So see, this is how you should be answering your questions. Again here, take care of this deed. It's in simple past. So how did he usually go home from Kathmandu? Usually, how are you going to change this verb? Usually, in this case, you go for, see here, simple past. Usually, you change this verb to, you usually went home from Kathmandu. That's how you write the answer. How do you write it? Read the passages. How did he usually go home from Kathmandu? So for B, how did he usually go home from Kathmandu? He usually went home from Kathmandu. So let's do number 2 as well. Number B, he usually, remember the verb, went home from Kathmandu. K being capital. It's a proper noun, right? Name of a place. So K capital. He usually went home from Kathmandu. See, so this is the answer. He usually went home from Kathmandu by bus. He then used to walk for 2 days from Hile in Dhankota to Khandbari. Okay, so let's talk about a few more questions. So that was number B. And again, when you talk about C, why did he go by bus this time? So again, all right, take care of the tense here and take care of the verb here. He went by bus. So why? And he's going here for the first time, because in second paragraph, the writer mentions, I never walked that way before and was afraid that I would not reach home. Okay. Describe the journey from Hile to Mangmaya River. Again, it's a long journey. Again, read the passage to answer all these questions. Okay. And hey, how about the questions which we have missed early? Let's talk about those questions. So, where is the author from? Now, you can write, see, the tense here is simple present. Where is the author from? The answer begins from here. Answer. See, the author is from Songkhla Sava. How long does it take to fly from Kathmandu to Tumling Tar? Now take care of this tense here. Does, simple present. So take the answer to simple present. So you can begin from answer. It. So simple present of takes. See the verb changing. Takes 45 minutes to fly from Kathmandu to Tumling Tar. See, this is how we answer it. So this way you can do all these questions. So let's try to fill these words into the sentences. So if you don't know the meaning of these words, make sure you look at the dictionary and then try to find out its meanings, and then it will be easier for you to fill in the blanks. Alright, so let's continue. Now look at the words given here. Fill in the spaces using the correct words. Twilight, sprawling, relief, pleading, frozen, hurdle, agony, and Hamlet. And these are all the words from the passage which I had read. Okay, so first of all, take a time to find the meanings of these words. And now that you know the meaning, let's try to fill in these words into these sentences. It was an, we have a blank, not knowing where the children were. So what do you think is the correct word for number A? Have you figured it out? It was an agony, not knowing where the children were. You look stiff. Are you alright? You look is the word. Frozen stiff. Remember, it was in the passage as well. You look frozen stiff. You look frozen stiff. Are you alright? Now, I'll work on the third one. I come from a small, far There's a blank, right, in between small and far. Far away from the towns. What do you think is the correct word? I come from a small hamlet far away from the towns. Now that you know the meanings of these words, you can do D, E, F, G, and H. You can fill in the words to these sentences. For your project work, how about you research about some local festival, alright? So you can research about some local festivals observed in a community. See, research about some local festivals observed in your community, alright? And of course, don't forget to ask these questions as you observe it. Like, for instance, when is the festival observed? Number B. Now, remember, every festival, it has a reason, alright, why we celebrate that particular festival. So find out that reason. When is the festival observed? What is the myth or story behind the festival? Okay, and how about how long does it last? I mean, for how long do you celebrate the festival? For example, Dasai, it lasts for 15 long days, right? On the other hand, Chhat is just a festival which is observed just for one day, right? From the sunshine till the sun sets. Okay, so how long does it last? You can ask them, what do people do during the festival? Meaning, what is the ritual behind the festival? I mean, in what way is the ritual observed in the festival? Okay, so what do people do during the festival? So, you know what, with all this information, you can create a wonderful work, alright, and display it in the chart paper, alright? So you can work this out. First of all, so how are you going to collect this information? So first of all, collect the information and then make a rough draft. Alright, of course, collecting the information also means you can collect pictures or any articles about the festival and then make a rough draft how you're going to, arrange it properly in the chart paper. Alright, and finally display it on the chart paper. Alright, and then you can compare work with a friend of yours. Alright, and see how well you have done. And of course, this way you can share it and present it in front of the classroom. And finally, present your work in the classroom. Alright, this you can do it in front of a teacher and your friends. Okay, so this you can do as a homework. And if you have any queries, don't hesitate to email us at learning@deerwalk.edu.np. Thank you very much.